'Twas the night before winter expedition, and all through the house, Cody was panicked and clicking his mouse. The swag bags were boxed, all loaded with care, because we knew the whole crew would be there. Matt was all snuggled, he had passed out. Jose was upset. "F*** this," he shouts. Richard, Anthony, and Crystal en route. Susan will regret this decision, of that there's no doubt. Tim in his minivan and Mark in his Ford. Dave and Adam in Gladiators, hoping they don't get bored. Sergio, Shy, and Ultra 4 Jones are making bets on whether Cody breaks his bones. Corey and Gary and Joey D2 are realizing that this is the worst they could do. William and Eric and Scott will be there. The only explanation is that they lost a dare. Whatever the reason, these people are joining our run. One thing will be certain, it's going to be fun. And when the fit hits the shan and the Jeeps are in danger, Casey will be there because they can't keep up with the Ranger.
Welcome to the Trailchasers podcast.
This episode is presented by Nexen Tire. We're going out to Parker this weekend for the winter expedition, and we're going to put the Rodian MTX tires to the test. They are perfectly suited for the rocks and terrain out there. If you want to be able to handle all the terrain like we do, go to nexentireusa.com and get a set for your rig. And the show's brought to you by Icon Vehicle Dynamics. I don't think we're going to be bombing through the desert at high speeds on this run, but we will make full use of the Icon suspension on our trucks while we work our way through the tight, rocky trails. If you plan to go hit the hard stuff, go check out what they've got for your rig at iconvehicledynamics.com.
Today on the show, we talk to Ferenc Elekes with overlandsite.com. He talks about his overland travels throughout China and Africa. He then goes on to describe Jose's worst nightmare, blowing an alternator near Afghanistan. Dude, what would you have done in that situation?
Yeah, I think that's outside the scope of my 200-mile AAA tow.
Jose already has 3 alternators in his truck getting ready for that shit.
That was the correct answer. What are you talking about? I got 3 or 4 triple.
What would I have done? I would have changed it because I have 3 in the back of my truck.
Good evening, everybody. It is 6:30 on a Monday. We are live on YouTube as usual. We're right on time. It's not like us to not be late because we're always punctual. It's 6:30 p.m. in California here, and our guest Ferenc Elekes is joining us from Budapest, where it is 3:30 in the morning. You guys, I can't get you guys to respond to emails in the middle of the day. This guy is waking up at 3:30 in the morning to be on the show. How are you doing tonight, Ferenc?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm doing fine. Thanks very much for having me on the show.
He obviously doesn't know you.
Yeah, he doesn't realize what he's about to do. Right around 4 o'clock in the morning, his time, he's going to be like, this was a mistake. I should have just stayed in bed.
I got up early.
What am I getting into?
Yes.
What have I done?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that, what you're getting into.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, be careful. So Ferenc has a website, overlandsite.com, and you can find him on Instagram as well at Overland Site, Site. So Budapest, that's where you're at now. Is that your original? Is that where you were originally from?
That's right, yes. Although I spent nearly half of my life in London as well. So
okay.
I've got a dual nationality, so I'm all in between. But yeah, originally I'm from Hungary, Budapest, yes.
Okay.
He's a citizen of the world.
Citizen of the world, yeah. And
yeah.
So So you and I connected on social media. Your the stuff you're doing on your Instagram page is amazing. It's so funny. Like we talk about, I think even just last week we were talking about the differences in where we've been in Southern California versus Arizona and all that stuff. And then I look at the traveling that you have done on your site, and I'm like, yeah, we're pretty lame. We don't do anything cool.
Yeah, LA County for us is Overland.
Yeah. So again, go to Overland Site on Instagram to see his page, but talk about the overland journey and where this started. Like forgive me for being an ignorant American, but I would not have thought of Budapest, Hungary as an off-road like place where people did a lot of off-roading. To explain that, like what, give me the background there.
Well, and you're right. It's like overlanding is not big here. I mean, there are people who are doing this, and there are people that it's like quite popular, or anyone that I talk to and I tell my stories about travels. Obviously, they really like it and they find it amazing. But it's a small country. So we only have 10 million people. So obviously, overlanding is not a mainstream thing in the world anyway. But obviously, in a small country, there would be very few people who are actually doing it. But yeah, I mean. Having said that, there are people who are doing it, and although anywhere where I went, I meet, or if I still go, I meet a lot of people from all around the world, but very few Hungarians, of course. But it comes down to having very few Hungarians in the world anyway. 10 million people, yeah, I mean, it's as a destination, it's you wouldn't even think that Hungary has anything to offer, but actually I was asked to write an article about how is overlanding in Hungary, and I thought it would be very difficult to write an article about it, but actually it wasn't that difficult. There's actually quite a few places to go to, and very nice places to visit, but the issue is that it's like too crowded. I mean, Europe is too crowded as it is. You can't get away from people. You can't get away from villages and towns.
Try coming to Southern California. It's ridiculous. But real quick, explain what the terrain is like in Hungary. Are we looking at open flat spaces, mountains, forests? What's the terrain where you go?
It's very green. You would look at very low mountains, hills, and a huge flat area. So it's on average is quite flat with some small hills here and there, and it's very green. I would say like I don't know, like the northeast of the US.
Okay, and for those that don't know where Hungary is. And I Googled that for you because I didn't know exactly what it was.
That's near Turkey.
You're right. It's just east of
between
Ukraine.
Iraq and Iran.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
It's south east of Germany, east of Ukraine, west of Romania.
West of Ukraine.
Oh, I'm sorry, west of Ukraine or Ukraine and Romania. You could tell I travel the world. It's out there by Italy, so it's in that central. Is that considered like the Central Europe area? Yeah. So I would, man.
Yeah, I think it's the geographical like middle point of Europe is actually in Hungary.
Oh, really?
Unofficially, yeah.
Okay. All right, man. And looking at the what I know of that area, I've been to France and London.
Whatever.
No, I'm saying.
So what is it? So how does that translate to that?
So the point I was going to make is that is like that's the center of civilization, like from the beginning. Like when you look at London and France, there's no open spaces. It's all been populated by people in cities, like he's saying, how it's hard to get. So I would assume that there's some of that plays out in Europe. I don't know, man.
No, it is. That's the downside if you're an overlander, because you cannot go to remote places. It's like you have to make an effort to to get away from people, and I think that's part of overlanding, to not see people.
Yes.
So,
well, and how
and it's really hard in Europe.
how far, like when you need to get away, how far of a drive is that? How many hours does it take to get away?
I mean, you can find a spot to, camp for the weekend and then try not to see people. But it's not like you go to, let's say, there's a river going through Budapest, for example, or through Hungary called the Danube, and you can find nice spots along the banks of the river. But it's not like you won't see people or boats or ships on the river for the whole weekend, or anyone, in fact, because there will be the old fishermen, there will be boats going, along the river, and you will see people on the other side. It's so if you really wanted to get away from people, you're probably gonna need to drive to Romania or the Alps in Austria or Italy, and that's gonna be like an 8-hour drive.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say, I asked for it in hours because if you told me how many kilometers away it was, I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm totally ignorant to that part of the world. Like, is that part of the European Union? So it's kind of like
It is.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're free to roam like through.
Not right now, but otherwise, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a pandemic, but
Other than the
normally-
global pandemic, yeah.
Yeah. For that is very good. Like you can drive, as I said, 8 hours in one direction and go through 3 or 4 countries without even noticing it. Apart, like obviously, many things change, but you don't notice. You don't get stopped by a border guard or anything.
That's pretty cool.
Which,
You don't even slow down. You just
Yeah.
drive through.
when you look at the size, the geographic size,
Not like here. Like if you're about to roll into Arizona, you stop. You don't have to, but you stop and you go, do I really
want to go to Arizona?
Think about it for a minute.
Yeah, and then you
it's
look at the
I
gas.
gotta.
You look at the gas prices. You're like, yeah, I do want to go to Arizona.
No, but when you look at the geographic size of the countries in that territory, in that region, they're not much bigger than a
small,
lot of
yeah.
the states. You know what I mean? There's a lot of
dude. I think we're super jaded.
Oh, they're
here.
smaller.
Yeah. I think like they're probably comparable to the counties here. Like
Oh, yeah.
San Marino County is huge, dude. It's probably the size of Romania, or
Right.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Which,
Were you bragging?
A little
Sounds
bit.
like you're bragging.
A little bit. I mean, you can go 10 hours and still be in California. You can drive 10
Still
hours.
sucks the whole area. though. Like, hey, it's really big, and the whole thing sucks.
yeah.
I didn't say it was good or
No,
bad.
I
just
reckon
said-
like the good part in the southwest part of the U.S. that you have everything. If you want to overland, like you have the mountains, you can go to the beach, you can even ski on the same day, and then you
Yes.
go to green areas and deserts at the same time. It's brilliant.
So have you been here? Have you been to the States?
I've been to the States, several times. I spent 4 months in New Hampshire, back 17 years ago, and then I traveled back a few times since. And in fact, we were supposed to be in New York in September for a whole month. Obviously, it got canceled. The flight got canceled, and we were gonna go. We were gonna fly to Vegas, and we were gonna travel on the West Coast in January, 5th of January, and that got canceled last week.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's canceled. You don't want to come here right now. It's a giant disaster. But with that, so, thinking about the geographic shape of the Central Europe continent, like you can go, like you said, you can drive 8 hours and go through 4 different countries and see significantly different cultures, in your journey. Like for us, we make fun of the people in Arizona and in Vegas and, Texas, but in all honesty, it's
Go on. It's like you're running a pretty good list.
Yeah, he's
there.
like,
I'm just saying, when you
Get them all.
when you look at the states,
Man, don't hold back.
when you look at the states, there are certain states that are outliers. They're off their rocker. We don't go to those states. I won't name them here. I think we know where they are. But for the most part,
Florida?
for the most part, like you could drive from my house to Arizona
Yeah, see?
to Nevada, and you're going to see the same fast food joints, and you're going to basically have the same culture. But I would think driving through Europe like that, there's a much starker difference between countries and cultures. Is that an accurate statement?
That is, I mean, you would still see the same fast food joints everywhere, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, it is more like Europe is more of one unit than you would think. It doesn't change that much. However, at the same time, food is going to change. Obviously, language is going to change. People's behavior is going to change, and so yeah, from especially from that perspective, like compared to the states of the US, it is significantly different when you go through borders.
Like what's crazy?
So yeah, from it's interesting actually.
Yeah, what's crazy to me is that there's so many different like countries in that cluster right there, and they can all have different languages, like hard different languages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and it's kind of crazy. Like,
when's the last time you talked to somebody from Arizona? Yeah. It's not that
I actually
easy.
texted with him today.
Well, like just as an example, from Berlin to Budapest, it's a 9-hour drive, right? And doing that, you're going through Slovakia, Czechia, Prague.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know anything about that part of the world. I'm assuming they don't speak the same language.
Yeah. How is
And
that?
you're right, they don't. Yeah, not even like the Czech Republic and Slovakia used to be one country, obviously, Czechoslovakia. Now they are two separate countries, and they do understand each other. It's like their language is very, very similar. However, it's eventually it's a different language. So they claim, actually. But obviously German, Slovakian, and then Hungarian would be totally different. Like absolutely, totally different.
Doesn't Austria mostly speak German?
Yeah, only speak German. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, apart from foreign languages.
Like
but
for
yeah.
us, we got to go all the way to Texas to get to a whole nother language. When you get into Texas, you can't even communicate with people. I don't know what they're saying, and none of it makes sense to me.
So what is his as far as the four-wheeling and like is there difficult do you go four-wheeling like on the weekends or what kind of
That's right. Yeah.
what kind of off-roading do you do and how often do you do it?
It's you can find like muddy trails and all these forest trails and stuff around here, like hilly trails around town and in the country. And that's probably true for the whole area. Like you can go to Slovakia and then find the same kind of trails. And yes, you can do it at the weekend. It's an easy, like any direction, like 1 hour drive here and there, and then you find these trails. It's not going to be like a hardcore Rubicon Trail type place, but you can still enjoy some off-roading and people do that. Like people do that at the weekend. There's a couple of Facebook groups where I'm in, and then people sort of organize little weekends here and there, and it's more of a fun drive during the day rather than an adventure. But north of Budapest, if you go into Slovakia in normal times, then you will end up in the Tatra mountains. And you can find pretty hardcore trails there. And that's especially true if you go to the Alps, like west of Hungary. There are pretty difficult places there. There's what's interesting in those is that you drive up to like a 10,000 feet high mountain peak or something, and then you will find a First World War fortress up there.
No.
Wow.
There's several of those up there.
I want to go. I want to go now.
That is awesome.
Oh, man.
I don't know. It's just interesting.
The only thing we have is cell phone towers. It's like,
yeah,
who cares,
it's just crazy because it's so different. Like, because here we have, first of all, we have the land itself. Like, we have tons of land undeveloped, but it's segmented for off-road use, right? Like the government
That is
owned.
awesome.
And
That
like,
is so good.
And I don't know if it works the same way in those countries, like where the
No, it
government
doesn't.
has segment.
I mean, you're lucky to find like a forest trail that is actually not
private or
closed off for vehicles. It's more like it's for the forest or places like that. It's more reserved for people who want to hike, who want to cycle, who want to have a run and something. And then even in the mountain trails that I just mentioned, you will see graffiti on rocks saying "off-roaders F off."
Wow.
Yeah.
They just say it to our,
it's not good.
They just say it to our face here. That's all. They just,
Sounds like Hemet to me.
yeah, it sounds like Hemet. So go back a little bit and tell me how you started. Like, how did you? Because there's not that much overlanding in Budapest, and there's not like a proliferation of trails. How did you specifically end up doing this?
Right. First of all, I'm a car guy. I really like cars. I was growing up loving cars, just reading about them all the time and looking at them on the street. I didn't even care if I was traveling somewhere. Like when I was a kid, like what I see, I just looked at the cars. And then that I combined with my love of later, I developed my love for travel, and I combined the two. But how it actually happened is that I was living in London, and with two of my friends from New Zealand who were also living in London, in the UK, we ended up joining a rally called the London Mongolia Charity Rally. So it was basically, there's two types of this. You might have heard of the Mongol Rally, where people buy like a $1,000 car and then try to drive it from London to Mongolia. Okay. Now this is a parallelly organized one where you buy an actual proper truck or a van, and it's called the Mongolia Charity Rally. And then the point of buying a proper truck or a van is that you drive it all the way to Mongolia from London without any help whatsoever. You choose your route. It's just that the starting date is set, and then you end up in Mongolia whenever you want through the route that you chose, and then that you choose, and then you will end up donating the vehicle to a charity in Ulaanbaatar, and they turn it into an ambulance. Because even today, like, they don't have, this was back in 2014, but even now, Mongolia doesn't have any infrastructure. They don't have any, like, the ambulance services and stuff. It's you wouldn't imagine how it is. Like, people are walking to hospitals, or people taken to hospitals on horsebacks and stuff. And there are no roads. And I will probably talk about this later, that Mongolia is a fantastic country for overlanders. It's just this is how you imagine a country that was built for overlanders, if there would be one place like that.
You want to know how I know our country's spoiled? Because Matt took an ambulance, maybe he took an ambulance maybe 50 feet.
It was legitimately,
it was a couple hundred yards.
It was 200 yards. Yeah. Yeah, Matt, the backstory there is...
And I told him, don't you dare put me in this ambulance. I don't care if I'm having a heart attack or not. I know what this is going to cost. I'll walk. I can't let you walk. They wouldn't let me walk.
Yeah. So the backstory for it is Matt thought he was having a heart attack. I had to take him to the hospital.
He went to urgent care.
Urgent care. They said no. You have to go to the emergency room. Which is literally, you could see it from where we were sitting.
It's the same building.
I got him to walk, and they were like, "Oh no!"
And they made him take an ambulance 200 yards to the emergency room. Oh my God.
Yeah, you guys, are you trying to kill me? Like, what's going on?
I was in when I was in New Hampshire. We were living in this big house, the five of us, and then one of the guys was skating in front of the house and fell, and then he fell on his arm. So we called 911, and then there was an ambulance, there was a police car, and there was a fire truck that came. And I'm like, what did you tell them on the phone?
Because they all wanted their check.
All of them.
Yeah, they all wanted to get a paycheck.
Well, it's New Hampshire. There's probably not much going on.
And I was just going to say, of all the places...
That's what I was thinking. Probably nothing happens here.
Of all the places in America you could have gone, how did you end up in New Hampshire? Like, people in New Hampshire don't want to be in New Hampshire.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I couldn't even tell you where New Hampshire's at on the map.
It's up there on the top by New York.
It's up there with the other Hampshires.
It was like an exchange program. Like over a summer, I had this couple of summer jobs, and I was it was like a work and travel program.
Well, I think I've
done a big classic road trip on the East Coast. at the end.
That is cool. So I've done that. I've done from not the whole East Coast, but from Washington all the way up to Boston. That's a really cool thing to see. I lost my train of thought. So we go back to how you got started in overlanding.
Joined this Mongolia charity rally and back in 2014, and we ended up. So we bought this pickup truck, a Mitsubishi pickup truck, and on eBay, and with no experience whatsoever, and basically we ended up breaking down on the Afghanistan border, like in Tajikistan. Like literally, there was a river in between us and Afghanistan, and we broke down. We had nowhere to go.
All right, I'm going to say breaking down in Afghanistan with a truck that you eventually plan on turning into an ambulance does not sound good for anybody involved. That seems really bad.
I'm trying to make it more dramatic. We were next to Afghanistan.
Okay.
We were in Tajikistan, but on the Pamir Highway, it's a fantastic place in the world, and people were really nice, and people were trying to help us. But eventually, we couldn't fix the truck. We couldn't find any parts. We needed an alternator, and we couldn't find one in the country, and we couldn't get one shipped. We had this time constraint. We had to go back to our jobs eventually, so we ended up abandoning or selling the truck for peanuts right there in the village. And we had to continue with we hired a driver with a car. He took us through all the way to Kyrgyzstan, and then we flew to Kazakhstan, and then we drove a little bit with another guy, and then we flew to China and ended up in Mongolia and rented another 4x4 and then drove around the country. So eventually we made it, not in the way that we planned, but before that we went through countries like Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all these towns in the middle. It's absolutely, that's when I felt, geez, if you have a car, if you have a truck, you can end up in places where you wouldn't normally go as a tourist. And we were camping next to rivers, we were camping in fields, we were camping in weird places. We ended up in people's houses, like total strangers' houses. And there was this nice guy in Tajikistan. It was I think it was around midnight, and we were lost in Tajikistan in the mountains on this trek. And we saw on our GPS that we were 20 miles or less to Afghanistan. So it was, we were the first time in an area like this, and you would think it's the end of the world if you meet somebody and he's definitely going to have a gun and you're going to be dead. And it's, all these
I would think all of those
pictures in your head.
Yes. Every one of those things I would have thought for sure.
He can do all this.
But it's yeah, go on.
I'm saying he can do all this because he doesn't have a U.S. passport. Our passport brings some unwanted attention in that part of the world.
And so you would think all these dramatic scenarios in your head, but it's not like that. People are people there. They go to work. They take their kids to school. It's just normal. Maybe they don't. Maybe they have a donkey or they have an old car, but they are normal.
That sounds
people.
normal. That sounds totally normal.
But so we ended up on this track, and it was night. We tried not to drive at night, but we got lost, so we had to. And there was this guy trying to. It was a track going uphill on a mountain, and there was this guy trying to stop us, and we could tell that he's got some trouble with his car. But it was so again, all these pictures in our head. We didn't stop because we don't stop. This is a trap kind of thing. We told the guy who was driving, a friend of mine, and as it happens, we broke down about 100 yards away, and he ended up helping us.
And he had the part you needed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no. But he then somehow he had a flat tire, and he needed help with that. We didn't stop, and then he eventually got it fixed. And then he ended up going back to the village and get help for us. And then we actually spent the night with his family in on rugs on the floor and stuff. It was an amazing night.
I got to tell you, that experience over the course of how many days that was, sounds like a lifetime of journey, like a lifetime of experience.
If that happened to you, we would never stop hearing about it. Like you would tell us like weekly. Like,
I would talk about.
So there was this one time I broke down. Oh God, please don't tell us. About
I would
Afghanistan
constantly
again.
because that is the coolest story I've ever heard. I love that whole
It is
thing.
great.
Yeah, but what about the guy that had the flat tire? Like he's a better human than I am because I would not have helped them.
Better human than any of us.
I would not have
we
helped
were in
them.
the car. Yeah,
I would not have helped them since they had just passed me by, and I'm like waving them down.
Yeah.
Help me! And they're just like, no, we're not gonna stop. And
Yeah.
then they break down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have sat.
I would have laughed.
You would
Yeah, I
have
would
sat
have
there.
laughed in
We
the
would have
place.
sat there, broken down, not being able to go anywhere, looking at the guy 100 yards away, like, look at that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I ran out of gas in the middle of the California desert. I had to walk 13 miles to Ludlow. Nobody pulled over for me. Nobody.
Dude, it wasn't like half a mile that you had to walk.
No, it was like
it was
13
like
miles.
200 yards. It was nothing.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you take that away from me?
So, Ferenc, that sound, like I said, that sounds like a lifetime of adventure, and I know that's just scratching the surface. Like based on what I've seen, you've been all over the place. Where else have you been in your adventures? Like, what other countries, what other territories have you been in?
Yeah, I was gonna say that even on this trip, there was quite a few stories. We could be sitting here quite a few hours for some stories. But the one other place where actually we went through Iran as well, and there was no amazing stories from that country. But I thought I'd mention it because everybody thinks it's all this evil country there in the middle of the desert, sitting on the huge oil reserves. They are the most amazing people we've ever met. Like, seriously, they are so kind. They're inviting us. Like, every single night, somebody tried to invite us to their house because they were so happy that we were there. Because obviously, when they are there, thinking the whole world hates them, which is not the case, but that's what they think because they're so isolated. And then somebody makes the effort to go there. They're really, really happy to see you. They're amazing people.
Point of view.
Yeah. Well, so I worked with a girl that was from Iraq, and she got married, and we got invited to the wedding. And I will tell you, I have never been to a more welcoming, like, her mom and dad came over and gave us like, it was such a cool, like, culturally, I think you're right, Ferenc. We hear all this thing in the news from American standpoint about all the war and all the stuff that's going on over there, and you don't stop to think that they're people that just want to interact with people. They get married and take their kids to school, all the things that you talk about. And it was a really, really cool experience, and the food was freaking amazing at that wedding. I could see that. Like, it's. I think there's probably a lot of places in the world that if you're an outsider looking in, you think, I don't know about that, until you get there and you get to experience the culture.
Yeah, right. Although we ended up in places as well where it wasn't a totally pleasant experience. It was on another trip to Africa. I've never been to Africa before, and we joined this. Again, this was another rally, like an overland organized big trip, driving from Budapest to the Gambia, which is like the northwest part of Africa. And you have to go through quite a few countries, and one of them is Mauritania. And Mauritania is like, I think, like 98% Sahara desert. And it's just normally if I travel to any country, I usually have this kind of feeling that this place is amazing. I want to come back here 10 times and see this and see that. I just don't have time to see everything right now, but I want to come back. Not in Mauritania. In Mauritania, I was like, geez, I have to get through this. It's not like I want to spend time here. I want to get through this. And we were driving, like, there's a route that you can take from Morocco, actually Western Sahara, all the way down to Senegal and just drive through along the coast. But what we did, because this was like there was a few routes suggested, and we took the hard one, the off-road one, driving right into the Sahara Desert, going west, and then a little bit south, and then back to the coast. but that's like several hundreds of miles going west. And apparently the northeastern side of the country is not even controlled by the government. It's all like Al-Qaeda and all these
it's Thunderdome.
Gangs and everything else.
It's the Victorville
Sorry?
of...
It's Thunderdome. I don't know if you know the reference Thunderdome. There's a movie about.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so that's we keep trying to find Thunderdome every time we go out. We look for it.
I know it's in the high desert. It's only about 40 or 50 miles.
No,
from
apparently
my house.
it's in Mauritania over here.
Oh, well,
Victorville, Mauritania is the same thing.
They have different chapters. I'm sure they have.
It's the Eastern Division.
It's deserts though. Like it's got to be in the desert though. So
sorry.
I was going to say, Ferenc, you probably speak a lot of. Do you speak multiple languages, or because
No.
no?
I speak some Italian, I speak some German, but otherwise,
Okay,
just Hungarian and English.
That's two more languages than I speak.
No, but it doesn't mean
That's
I speak those
three
languages. I can order a pizza.
That's 3 languages more than Matt speaks. Matt barely speaks English.
No, three.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. How many fingers? Look, I can't see either, dude. I don't know how many fingers you got holding up.
Three.
There.
German,
But either way, it just seems like you're very adventurous because maybe that's just being an American or whatever. I don't like going down. I've been to Mexico a number of times, and there's always that panic. Like, man, I just want to. I want to be able to communicate with local people, and if I'm afraid of even going to Canada or something, let alone halfway across Europe and into China, or Asia. Is that just what it is? You have a great sense of adventure?
Probably the more you see these places, then you realize that it's not actually that big of an adventure. You eventually gonna solve the problems if there is any, or you're gonna get through places, and it's like looking back, it's not like that kind of a big adventure. When you're in it, and then you have to solve something, you have to solve an issue, then you might think, why didn't I just stay home watching Netflix sometimes?
So I think, sorry to cut you off, friends, but I think that goes back to something we talked about earlier. So when I think as Americans, we are very isolated in our Americanism, and we know that we can go into all 50 states, and we know what the currency is going to look like, what the language is going to look like.
My greatest fear is breaking down in a foreign country.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God!
But
who would help me?
But think about people that grew up in Eastern Europe.
Nobody would help me.
Think about people that grew up in Eastern Europe, where you can ride a bike for 30 minutes and end up in a totally different country with different currency and different cultures, and it's way. I would assume that European people that have that experience are way less fearful of other cultures and going out and exploring than those of us that are like, you know what, I've been to Arizona once and like that was enough for me. Like, you know what I mean? I think we just have a very, because our country is so giant and we can go for so long in our own country and never be out of the comfort of the American, way of life or whatever. It's a very different feeling for us than it is for someone that grew up in that, middle European area.
But it comes down to also the fact that I mentioned that even in Southern California, you have everything that you need if you want to do overlanding, like all the terrain, you don't have the diversity of culture, and you will not see historical places, like at least not several hundreds of years old type places. But from a nature's point of view, you have everything. And if you look at the whole US, you have even more. Yeah. And you don't need to leave the country for that. Yeah, to experience the fact that the Mauritanian army is escorting you through areas, then you will need to leave the U.S. But otherwise,
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pass. I'm going to go ahead and pass on the Mauritania army. I don't need any part of that.
I don't know. It's also the narrative that the media portrays. Like here, like it's kind of like doom and gloom.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, what is like the media like in Hungary? Like, do they?
Well, I mean, if you live in Europe, like traveling around Europe is basically part of life pretty much now. Yeah. In Europe, you can't get away with it. If you even want to have a beach, we are a landlocked country. If you want to go to the beach, you have to drive to Croatia, first of all. So and that goes for skiing as well. Our mountains are really like low. We don't have big ski resorts. We have to drive to Austria. So it's obviously Europe is not an issue. Driving further or flying, well, nobody drives any further, but flying further on holidays, going to like Southeast Asia for a holiday, I wouldn't say it's mainstream now, but for Western Europe, it would be. But obviously, these countries on the eastern part of the EU are not that rich yet, or maybe they won't ever be. But it's more people do end up flying further nowadays. So I'm not saying, but for example, the reason why we ended up with this organized overland trip to Africa was that. So the main reason why we didn't just jump into the car and drive down there is because I was like, I've never been to Africa. How is it? I don't want to drive with my girlfriend alone, and I need to be, I would be responsible for her as well, and I didn't want to take that risk. And it's a total. So what you just said about leaving the state and driving to another state and then breaking down, like what you're gonna do, and I had that kind of feeling with Africa, and it's again. That was just my fear. It was fine, okay, apart from Mauritania, but otherwise it's totally fine. So I have the same kind of feelings, but maybe to a different extent.
What you just said about you have had that fear of bringing your girlfriend and being responsible for her. I had that same concern with I'm bringing my kids to Arizona this weekend, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. You know, you never know. Things can get crazy on the other side of the river.
I'm more worried about Arizona than your kids.
Yeah, that's true.
So you mentioned your girlfriend. So do you guys, when you go on these adventures, does she go with you a lot of the times, or who do you travel with?
Yeah, so the first trip, the one that I mentioned about Tajikistan and Iran and all that, so I've done that with two guys, two of my friends, and that's when I was, so actually, I probably never answered your question, how did I all start to do overlanding, and that was the trip. That's when I realized, okay, I'm driving through countries, it's amazing. You end up in places where you wouldn't normally go. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then when I met my girlfriend, like several years ago, apparently this was the only thing I was talking about, like Tajikistan and driving through Mongolia. So when we ended up buying our truck, I was already, so we needed a car for everyday use, and I was already buying it with this in mind, like, okay, I want to, whatever I'm driving today, I want to drive it to the end of the world at some point.
Yep.
And she never camped in her life before, but luckily, so we've done this mild Scandinavian trip through the northern part of Europe where we camped, and she was fine with it. So I'm like, okay, so this is the very civilized part of the world. Let's try something harder, and that's when we went to Africa, and then we already decided to drive all the way to Singapore, and then she's a really keen partner in doing this.
So she had never camped in her life, and you decided to go hard and try Africa. So first of all, is she also from Budapest?
Yes. Well, from Hungary, but yeah, we live in Budapest now. Yeah.
Okay. So same area. So she'd never camped. Yeah. She probably hadn't seen all these different cultures, and now you're dragging her with you out into these other portions of the world. Like, come and see this. Like, how did she react to it at first?
Yeah, I mean, I was more afraid of the camping part. Like, if a girl hates camping, then not much you can do. Like, you can make it as comfortable as you want, but
you can find a new girl.
It, okay.
Don't tell her I said that. I didn't say that.
That's true. But I'm not allowed to say that in case she listens to it. But I mean, so that part was luckily fine. So she loved camping. We had a rooftop tent, and she enjoyed that. And obviously, we were in civilized parts of the world. And she traveled around Europe before, but usually with a rolling suitcase, and this was a bit different. However, the easy part was that we stayed in organized campsites, with the bathroom and with the toilet, with everything, with the kitchen and everything. And then the next step was that we were independent in a way that so the African trip was all the way organized all the way down to the Gambia, but on the way back we were totally alone. So we were on our own schedule. There was no other car with us, and we really started to experience with her together, because I've done it before with the guys, but with her, just cooking your own meals, planning your supplies for the next few days, and going to markets and then buy your vegetables and all that sort of stuff. Or maybe if you don't find the stuff that you like, then live on your, dry supplies and pasta or whatever. But and then have the odd shower with just a black plastic bag, as usual. So so when we went to Africa, she was already very keen on our trip that was coming up, driving 35,000 miles to Singapore. And that was because in 2014 I broke down in like 2/3 the way to Mongolia. I was like, okay, this is actually quite a far destination. Are we going to make it? And so when we even set off on the trip, I didn't believe it myself that we're going to end up in Singapore.
Did you tell her that? I mean, that's not a good way to start the trip. Honey, we're going to go on this trip. We're probably not going to make it, but let's go anyways.
No, on a trip like this, it's like we had technical problems in 2014 with my friends, but on this trip, I was like, okay, there could be technical issues, but I knew that some border is going to be really hard. Like the Chinese entry was actually. I don't know if you guys ever read the Overland Journal. In the winter issue, I have an article about crossing China and how to enter China. And
do you have a follow-up article planned on how to get out? Because
getting out was 5 minutes. Getting in was 1 week.
Oh man, so I would be concerned about getting out. That'd be my biggest concern.
No, to be honest, I didn't really want to leave. Food was so good. At lunch, I was waiting for dinner. At dinner, I was waiting for lunch. It was amazing.
It's funny when you were talking about planning for when you're on your own and you're planning and buying groceries and stuff to make your own food. I think that would be one of the things that I would have the most anxiety about, is like getting to a country where like there's no Pop-Tarts, or there's like there's no peanut butter and jelly. There's no.
There's McDonald's everywhere.
Yeah, true. But like honestly, getting to like finding food and finding food that you enjoy that you can eat, I think would be like the part that I would like be worried about.
Yeah.
Well, but one of the I never cook at home. Like literally, I feel like it's a waste of time because I don't have the skills and I don't have the time or the patience to cook at home. But when we are on a trip, I don't let her cook. I want to cook. I don't know why, but I just enjoy it. You're outside and
that's the barbecue thing with guys. Like guys, guys don't cook unless they're on the barbecue.
No, I let Monty do the cooking on the barbecue.
Do you?
Yeah, she's better at it.
I'm an excellent barbecue cook, by the way.
You are the worst. You are the worst.
Yeah, Matt hates coming over to my house for a barbecue because I ruin everything.
You can't cook hot dogs on a grill.
You grill as good as you navigate?
Yes. Yeah, I'm horrible. I just realized we've been talking for a while about all this driving that you've been doing and haven't once mentioned the type of vehicle you're in. To tell us about the vehicle and why you chose it.
Yeah, so it's a Toyota Land Cruiser 120. Or in Australia would be called the Toyota Prado 120. In the US, it would be the Lexus GX 470.
Yeah,
it's the same car with a different badge and of course a different engine because mine is a 3-liter diesel. And it's an automatic. It's a 2006, and I've done quite a few modifications on it, or I had somebody else do it, and it's so it's basically it's got a 3-inch lift. It's got bash plates on the bottom. It's got a snorkel. It's got a front runner roof rack. I used to have a rooftop tent. I sold it, and I regretted it ever since. And I've got what else? So I've got this drawer system in the back, which is DIY. I made it with my dad, and for the big trip to Singapore, we've done it in a way. We removed 2 seats. We left one of them, but removed 2 of the back seats and made it like a platform on the back where we could sleep in an emergency when the weather is too bad, or we had to sleep next to a village or something and we can't really open the rooftop tent. It was very claustrophobic, but it worked. So we could actually sleep on the top of this thing, and on the side. So if you open the back doors, so one of the rear doors, there was like a cabinet on the side as well. So not just the drawers in the back. I've got an Angles fridge, and obviously a gas cooker, and all the not that. Fewer recovery kits that I would have needed on the trip. So I didn't have a winch and I didn't have a high lift jack, and those 2 would have saved quite a lot of work. Because once I was digging for 4 hours, and a high lift jack would have been like a 5-minute job.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you have them, you never need them. But the minute you don't have them with you, you're going to need them.
Yep.
So I would have just laid down and died unless somebody had come up to save me.
And waited for that guy on the hill in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Well, I either start digging or just wait to die. Like, that's
you can wait in Mongolia. Like there was literally nobody around for a couple of hundreds of miles.
So what made you choose that vehicle?
It's a very widely available vehicle in Europe. I wanted a Toyota because after the experience with the Mitsubishi, I didn't want to have any other type. Definitely not a Mitsubishi.
Yeah, no, you should have got a Ford.
Yeah. So I wanted a reliable one, and the main reason being is that originally I studied law. If the vehicle stops, I don't know what to do. Maybe I know more right now, but before the trip, I didn't. So I needed a reliable vehicle. This is a very not common, but like from like a 4x4 vehicle type perspective, it's a very common one. And this is the main reason: reliability. The size is perfect for these kind of trips. It's very mobile, it's very agile still, and these are the main reasons, really.
Yeah, so that LX4,
the GX,
the GX
70. GX 470.
That's what Rochelle Croft was driving in the Rebel Rally
last year.
That's the 460. So that's the newer one.
Oh,
That's the newer one.
Okay. It's all the same, dude.
Yeah, but
same size and like same kind of concept.
But it's funny the Land Cruiser Prado, which is the same. They're all the same, right? It's been in the States for since the mid 2000s, I think, early 2000s, as the Lexus GX. But they're barely gaining popularity now because they know what they are. People know what they are now.
Yeah.
So that's like the new fad. That's like the new hot thing over here.
Yeah,
they're trying to build.
I think the reason is the independent front suspension. Like everybody thinks that they are not good off road, but it actually works.
Yeah. We Matt and I have put that to the test. Jose's still on a 1994 Land Cruiser. I mean, he'll eventually get something better, but the availability. So you'd mentioned like when the Mitsubishi, when you got to Mongolia, you couldn't get parts. So the availability of parts for that Prado, is that more widespread across Europe if you go from place to place?
No, the Mitsubishi wouldn't be a problem in Europe. I was more worried about Central Asia and other parts of the world, and the fact that it's not going to be as reliable as a Toyota. And so when we broke down in Tajikistan, it was impossible to get parts. But as it turned out, it would have been impossible to get parts for most type of vehicle in that area, or at least in Tajikistan. But the Prado or the Toyota, it's literally, and it could have been any type of Toyota. There was no place in the world where I've been where I didn't see a Toyota. So,
Yeah.
The Mauritanian army was escorting us with Toyotas. The Mongolian police have Toyotas. It's very, very common.
No, so you've traveled the world, and you say everywhere you go, Toyotas and McDonald's. Is there a conspiracy there? Huh? I don't know. Give me some time. I'll think of something.
No, you can basically Toyotas and McDonald's. I mean, that's home. No matter where you go, you can be at home. So
Sure.
So with all the travel and the stuff that you've done so far, what was the reason that you started Overland Site, both the Instagram and the webpage? Like, what was the drive behind that piece of it?
Right. Well, I wanted to document my trips. That was one of the reasons. Another reason was that I was trying to find like a central place to find information, what to buy, how to equip my car, my truck, where to go, how to do it, like how to use tools, how to use recovery gear, stuff like that. And back a few years ago, now there's a lot of blogs and a lot of websites, a lot of YouTube channels talking about that. But back then there wasn't any.
When was this? When did you start it?
I started like 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
4 years ago. And I think like the popularity of this, would you say hobby or phenomenon? It's probably a better word. It's a nicer, it's a nicer word.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah. It's just, I think, skyrocketed in the last 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we are getting quite good traction. Like 98% of the traffic of the website is from the US, actually, probably because the lifestyle is most popular there.
Yeah, it's huge here. We joke around all the time about how, and on your commute to work, you could do an overland rally on the freeway on your commute to work, passing all the vehicles with the rooftop tents and the racks.
Right. That's what I found amazing. We were in Australia last year, and people are driving every day with their rooftop tent on the truck.
Yeah.
Just going to work, going to do groceries with their rooftop tent. They don't bother taking it down.
It's like status. That's like a status symbol.
Yeah.
all your armored bumpers.
Yeah.
And your,
so like,
and your bash plates. I'm going to call, instead of like, we call them skid plates.
No, bash plates are cool.
Bash plates are way cooler.
But yeah, so in Southern California here, if you were in the car market, right, there's the sports cars, you work your way up. There's like there's like the Mercedes and the BMWs and like those. But like on the Overland side, you can start with whatever you want. The more stuff you have bolted onto your vehicle, the more status you have. Yeah, that's where the cool kids are.
Yeah, the wider your tracks are.
Yeah, it's
the wider out the tires are.
Exactly. Well, and I think, and part of the reason we've talked about this before. Part of the reason I don't have a rooftop tent is like I would be too lazy to take it off every day. Like, I wouldn't take it off. I don't want to take that off every day. You got to get friends to help out. Then
I would just never come home. If I had a rooftop tent on my truck, look, honey, I'm just staying at work, and I'm gonna go sleep in the tent, and I'll see you on Friday. Probably.
So yeah, it's very common here. I could see why that's where most of your traffic is coming from is from the States. So with the site and Instagram, and you're documenting stuff and you're putting out these articles, and now you've got an article on Overland Journal. I mean, how do you determine what kind of content you're going to put on your site?
I'm getting a lot of emails, a lot of questions. And so that's a very good indicator of like what people want to read about or know about. It's more about what people want to know about, and also I've got a whole backlog of places that I want to write about. For example, like I got this piece on the Pamir Highway, which is a part of the Silk Road, and it's actually going through Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, and it's an amazing place. Amazing part of the world. So there's so it's more like how to's and how to do and what to do type stuff, and then stuff about places and how to get there and what to expect. Because as you mentioned, a lot of people have these perspectives where they are afraid of places or they don't know what to expect, especially in Central Asia or Africa or Southeast Asia. And then I just want to get the knowledge out that it's actually, you're not going to get killed in those places. It's actually they're nice places.
Well, and I think a part of it is
I'm not going to get killed.
Yeah. So I think a big part of that when you're traveling to other countries is acknowledging that you're in their culture. It's your responsibility to try to adapt to their culture and not, hey, I'm a tourist spending my money and you should speak the language that I came here with and do the things that I wanted. No, I think it's about having respect and appreciation for the culture you're in. And that goes a long way in creating that environment where people want to interact with you.
Exactly. And the best part with, as I mentioned, this was the one of the deciding points for me is that you have a vehicle, you end up in places where you wouldn't normally go. But if you looking at that from a local's perspective, they live in a place where they literally don't see any tourists whatsoever. So you end up in a place like this, and then they're gonna love you. They're gonna be really, really welcoming because nobody was there before you as a tourist. So it's not like you end up in, the Eiffel Tower of Paris and then you're just one of the tourists out of the million. It's like you're going to be the first tourist in that village in China,
Wow. I didn't think about that. Can you imagine just rolling up and being like the first person? Like, imagine if the three of us were the first Americans anybody had seen. They'd be like, whoa, you guys
get out of here.
Don't ever come back.
Get out of here.
Don't ever come back. So,
like, we were in a mountain in a village in China, and we were hungry, and we forgot to stock up on food, or we were lazy to cook. I don't know. We were with two other overlanders through China. We had two other cars with us, and then drove through. And we were like, okay, what to do now? We're in a small village. We actually had to camp in front of somebody else's houses because there were just rice fields everywhere, and it was mountainous. We couldn't find a flat area, so we were literally in front of somebody's. It's like a front yard of someone's house. And then there was an old lady walking past us, and we had a guide with us. It's a long story. You have to have a guide in China with you all the time if you drive your own vehicle. And we were like, can you ask her if she wants to cook for us tonight? And then she ended up asking. We were invited to their house. These are total strangers. We ended up in somebody else's house.
That doesn't work in Matt's house. Like, he says that to his wife, and that doesn't happen. This is a strange lady on the street.
They jumped on a motorbike, went to the next village, and did grocery shopping. Wow. And then we had this 5-course amazing food, homemade night. And we stayed with not stayed, but we spent the evening with the family. It was amazing.
Have you made like long-term relationships with people like from around the world and kept in touch with certain people? Or
we keep in touch with some people. Mostly, I have to admit, with other travelers, not with locals. But we have some, every now and then it's like, hey, how are you type messages with people that we just met in a village or even in a town or somewhere through where we came across somebody. But when we traveled with somebody for like a couple of weeks, you end up you meet somebody. Like there was this place in Georgia, high up in the mountains in the Caucasus. How do you pronounce that? I don't know. Caucasus. Probably.
The Caucasus Mountains.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. I thought he was talking about Georgia, the country.
No.
Georgia, the country. Exactly.
I was going to mention
I was like,
Georgia, the country. So we were driving down the mountains and mountain, and another truck was coming up the mountain, and I could tell it was from Germany. And this is like really far from Europe already. So if you see another car from Europe, you're like, hey, you stop and talk. And go on.
No, you're good.
No, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. And then, so we ended up saying hi. We didn't actually talk too much, but I found, because there was a sticker on their car with their logo. Like I thought it was their blog, and it was. And I looked it up on Facebook. I found them. And we ended up chatting. It turned out they were on their way to Australia. We were on our way to Singapore. We were crossing China at the same time, not on the same route, but at the same time. And we ended up spending a couple of weeks together in Laos, like just traveling together and stuff.
That's cool.
And this was like a 10,000 mile difference between the two places. And we still keep in touch with them. They are now in Australia. They've been traveling for 2.5 years. A couple from Germany and France. And we do keep in touch with people, but mainly the ones that we met through like other travelers.
That's amazing when you think about like, you just think about how we, as people, we born someplace. Most of us are raised in a similar place, and we live our lives here. And and the minute you venture out and you start seeing other people that are venturing out, there's like this kindred spirit that's sparked that you get to experience this different place compared to where you're from and where they're from, and
so it's like threefold.
Yeah.
So did you win like the Hungarian lotto? Like I want to do this stuff.
Yeah. How do you?
What? I think you said what you do for a living, but how are you able to have this much time? Did you win the lottery? Are you just rich or something?
So obviously I was saving up before. Like I used to work for an investment firm in London. As I mentioned, like I spent close to 10 years in London, and I worked and saved up a bit. And then because I was working in investments, I also made some investments. I've got some property, real estate investments in Budapest. I was renting out my apartments, and I made other investments like stock market type investments, but mainly it's savings. So it's like just worked for years and years and then saved up.
So what you're saying is that Matt has to go to London, become an investor for 10 years, and then...
No, I got a better idea. Cody, just take some of my Trailchaser stock and sell it.
Yeah,
sell it now.
Sell now.
Liquidate.
Sell.
Liquidate.
Yeah, liquidate.
I will liquidate
the Trailchaser.
The Trailchaser
stock.
podcast is on a sell.
I'm going to start traveling.
I mean, how many millions of shares do we each have? We have a lot, right?
You each have millions of shares. Millions of shares.
I have more than Jose, though, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm 51% owner of everything, so I have the most shares. So
what's our stock?
I don't like
now?
that. Yeah, I don't like that math.
So what is next, man? I mean, seriously, I listened to your story, and you're right. I think we could probably spend 2 hours just going year by year with all the stuff that you've done. But you've traveled the world. You've done all these things. You've created this website. You've created the Instagram page. What is the next thing? Is there another big trip on the horizon?
Well, there was for this year.
Yeah, I
obviously.
guess. Yeah,
there was quite a few, but yeah. So the plan for this year was, and probably going to be 2021 now, is that we want to do it a bit more full time, which means so rather than ending up having to look for a place for a rooftop tent and then cook outside and stuff, we want to have like a 4x4 van, like maybe a Sprinter or an Iveco 4x4 truck, and then pretty much drive around Europe. The last couple of years since we got back from Singapore, we've done trips around Europe, some like in the Alps mainly. We went to south of France, and we just realized that, yes, it is hard to find remote places in Europe, but it's possible. So, and there's quite a few little areas, pockets of Europe that we haven't seen, especially Southern Europe, like Albania, Greece, and like Bulgaria, places like that you wouldn't think of when you talk about Europe. Probably, it's sort of semi-undiscovered, and places like that we wouldn't just go to stay there. It's so much easier with a van. I guess we never had a van before, but you just stop and your campsite is done. It's ready.
Yeah,
it's all set up.
And I would think
it's not as cool, I don't think, but it's more comfortable.
I would think
that's the plan.
I would think Greece would be awesome. I would think all the Athens and the ruins and the Romanian stuff. I think that would be awesome to see.
Yeah. I spent quite a bit of time in Greece before, but always just the beach type of holidays. And I spent 5 months working in Greece when I was in my early 20s. But staying away from the beach and discover other parts of Greece, that's what I'm interested in now.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't want to call it van life, but it's because we want to have the 4x4, like definitely it's going to be a 4x4 van. That's different. So
I don't know.
It's more the comfort of sitting inside in the rain and be able to cook inside and then even work inside, because I can work on my website. My girlfriend works online in marketing, so we can pretty much now make money on the road, and that's what we do now. Since I probably haven't elaborated on that further, but yeah, we both work online now and we make money online. So.
Yeah, Matt makes money on the road too, but they pull over one at a time, pick him up, and then drop him back off on the road when he's done.
It's mainly a corner, not a road.
That's pretty good.
As you can tell, he's not doing really well right now.
Ideas in his head.
But either that or I'm doing really well.
Or they're not paying him in cash; they're paying him.
Yeah, they're paying him with McDonald's
McRibs.
Well, that is as part of this pandemic, we've talked about it a little bit. I think that the economy is going to shift and the workplace is going to shift, and I think more people are going to be able to do that, to work from home. As long as you've got a Wi-Fi hotspot, it doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to be working remotely,
or not just from home, but from the road.
Yeah, from anywhere.
So for us, this year would have been just, try out this type of more of a full-time lifestyle. And then we would have, so it looks like it's shifted by a year, our whole plans, but our main next big adventure would be the Pan American. So from Alaska all the way to Argentina. I don't know now when that's going to happen exactly, but that's definitely part of the plans.
But so in that instance, would you fly over here to North America, get a vehicle, outfit it, and do it, or build your vehicle at home and ship it over?
We would probably ship. Yeah, we would ship.
I can't even imagine what it would cost to ship a vehicle.
It's not that expensive.
It's like $3,000, around $3,000.
I would have thought it was more than that, but yeah,
I only know.
No, so that's why. So you have to weigh in how much would be to buy, and then you would have the pressure of selling it and probably sell it in Argentina.
You can drop it at my house in Southern California. I'll hold on to it for you.
You could also get a couple of Frontiers for that, though.
Yeah, I've got RV parking right here behind me. You just leave it here for when you come back.
Yeah, it's an idea.
The only reason I know how much it costs to ship a car to Europe is because my dad has friends that live in Europe, and they ask him to buy VWs here. And he ships them out of
really?
Out of Carson.
Really?
What's inside the door panels when he ships them out?
That I don't know, but
do the dogs sniff that VW bus before
beef jerky?
Yeah. So Pan American from Alaska all the way down to Argentina, that would be amazing. And you think you're going to do that in 21 or later?
Not in 21 now. So that would have been the original plan. Would have been 21.
Oh, so it got shifted a year.
But now it's shifted a year probably. But again, a lot can happen. But if it doesn't happen in 22, then it's going to happen in 25 or whatever. But we definitely want to do it.
So it will happen. We just don't know when.
Right.
That is. Do you know off the top of your head what that travel is? How many miles that is?
I don't know how many miles, but we were thinking it's probably going to take us from around 10 months to a year at least. So we may even do it in 2 parts or 3 parts.
Google just said that from Bethel, Alaska to Ushuaia to Argentina. I don't know
how. What was that pronunciation again?
I'm sorry, your mic broke up. Can you pronounce that one more time?
Ushuaia, Tierra del Fuego province in Argentina. It says, I'm sorry, I can't calculate a route to get there.
Wow.
So it's like I don't know.
Expedition Overland. They did it in 3 parts.
Yeah,
they did it from Alaska
parts,
to Mexico to Central, and then the last
one.
Yeah, and then the rest.
And then the last part.
The
That last continent that they did.
yeah, the South.
The one down there.
Yeah. So it's not a short drive, I guess, is what I'm saying. And let's see. From Anchorage, Alaska to
San Diego
to Panama City.
To Panama, yeah, because there is no, in the Darien Gap, there is no road. I think that's the only part where you can't drive. You have to
ferry,
ship
right?
again,
Yeah.
put it on a ferry or a container or something. I don't know.
So that's 6,865 miles, it looks like, from Alaska, from Anchorage, Alaska, down through the United States, through Montana, Wyoming, Denver, New Mexico,
all right.
Texas.
Wait,
I'm just saying,
We
like,
get it. We get it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's down this, like, the center of America into Mexico. That's,
Why is it taking you down the center though?
I don't know. Google said that's the way to go. 127 hours, it says, of drive time. It seems
Isn't that a movie?
It seems like a lot. I think it would take longer than that. So when you do that, you and your girlfriend pack up. You're gonna ship the van over, do the whole thing. Still
Right.
work from home. I mean, work from the road if necessary, and make that trip.
Right, yeah, that's the rough plan. Yes, but I don't think we will go, do this straight down kind of drive. We probably, once we end up in Canada, we want to see a bit more of it. Same for the US, and
No, I'll help you out. Just go to Moab, Utah, drive through Las Vegas, hit Southern California, and then skip everything else and go to Mexico. And
that would have been our plan for January. Now we were supposed to fly on the 5th, and then probably because I listened to your episode from last week as well, and then there are companies out there renting out kitted out trucks and stuff.
Yes,
there's quite a few. So that would have been something we would have done in January. Now in 2021.
Yes, you could definitely fly into Phoenix and hook
Phoenix.
Up. Yes.
New Mexico?
No.
Yeah.
Phoenix.
I thought you were going to do that same dumb Flagstaff joke again.
No. Anyways, you could do that. So when that, I can't even imagine what the preparation would be like for that. Would you approach that entire trip as like one large preparation, or is it like, well, if I just get from this main town to this main town, I can reassess what I need and buy whatever I need and then go to the next one? Like, do you break it up in small pieces like that?
Yes, and that's exactly what happened on our big, the trip from Europe to Singapore, is that we had a rough plan. That's what we would do on this trip as well, probably, because we would have a rough plan, especially just in a way that, okay, these are the countries in the list, like on our route. And then Evelyn put together like a road book for our trip, just outlining what are the most important things to see along the road and what are the good areas where it's easy to camp and what are the sites to see and stuff like that. And then it's not set in stone. So if we miss one of the things, it's not like we're going to have a fight about it. But it's good to know what's there, and it's like, especially if you don't have the internet, you don't need to look it up. It's right there and like print it out in a book. And so we had like a rough plan, but the way we approached it is that we only thought about the future plans in a few days in advance type perspective. So we were like, okay, this is the next border we have to cross. Along the way, these are the towns we want to sort of go through and camp here and there. We used an app called the iOverlander, and it's an amazing app. You guys probably know it as well. So we always thought of the next problem and on this last big trip was always the next border. Usually that was the next problem, unless we had some mechanical issues. So it's like, okay, let's solve this and then find our route all the way there. And then once we're there and we got this issue solved, then we're going to think about the next part.
Yeah. Man, that is extremely like daunting to think about, like doing that. But it's also inspiring thinking about, just you taking the ability to just go. Like, just, I'm going to do this. We're going to see the world. We're going to experience all these cultures. And I bet that, like you said, we could spend another 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll have to have him back. There's still tons of questions that I have. Dude.
We could probably spend another 2 hours talking about stories. Maybe what we do is,
frankly, I'm thankful that it's like so early for him, because I think he could take my place pretty easily on this show and have a lot more stuff and provide a lot more value.
I think what we'll do is, when you're ready to do that Pan American trip, we'll set it up to where we
can I go with you?
We'll do a section.
Yeah, we'll do a section with you, but we'll have you like every week call us and tell us where you're at and do like where in the world is Ferenc?
It's man on the street, or man on the dirt road, it'll be a man on the mountain.
Yeah, a 15-minute phone call. Where are you at? I am in Edmonton, Alberta, and this is what we're doing this week. And then next week you're in Montana. We'll just, like, as you work your way down, we'll have a conversation.
Guy got all the way to Edmonton?
From starting in Alaska, yeah, you made it to Edmonton. And
I thought Edmonton was Montreal. Never mind.
It's in Alberta, sir. I'm looking at the map right here.
I don't have a map in front of me. I thought it was Eastern Canada.
But seriously, I would love to continue hearing the stories and where.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
So are most of your stories already on the overlandsite.com website?
Yeah. Well, I try to include like what happened on the trip in the blog, but not all the stories. And obviously, as and when I started, and ever since I've been working on the website, it evolves a bit. Like obviously now thinking back, I should have talked about this, I should have talked about that, and not everything is covered. But what I'm actually, so I've got the African trip put together on our YouTube channel in a movie, and so that's what I'm planning to do with the Budapest to Singapore trip as well. And all our trips, I've got so much footage sitting on hard drives, and it just takes such a long time to put it all together, and it's just a waste. Yeah. But I started to work on it already, but we've been back for 2 years and I haven't put it together yet. So
we gave up. We gave up on all the video. We've talked 1,000 times about the video. We just gave up.
I mean, we can't even take pictures.
Somebody on the chat line was like, Matt, you should write a blog about the Kessel Run. And I'm like, Kessel Run was fun.
Yeah.
Fun is good.
Yeah,
that's it.
For people that,
how do you like that?
For people that create content every week, we are horrible content creators.
We're the worst, man.
But I would love, so if you guys haven't already, please go to overlandsite.com and to their Instagram page, Overland Site, SITE, Overland Site, and follow, because it's amazing. Like, just looking at the pictures of the areas you've been, you've got these pictures here with these camels, randomly camels in the middle of it's just the coolest thing. Like, coming from someone that's, born and raised in the same general vicinity, and all of the off-roading and stuff we do is within 4 hours of our house. Like, this, to me, this is like the epitome of exploration and adventure.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So go follow Ferenc, and I am serious about I'm totally serious about the trip. The next trip you have planned, let's coordinate, and we'll just follow you on the show all the way down and figure out, we'll be like, he's still alive and he's in Panama, like, and find out where you're at. So I would love to be able to connect with you again later and hear more of these stories.
All right, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So if and when the trip happens, I'll let you guys know.
That's fantastic, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will definitely talk to you again soon.
Thank you. No, seriously, it was a lot of fun to be on the show. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hey, are you looking to upgrade your PC, whether it be for gaming or for video production or whatever your needs are? Go to evga.com and check out their products. They make top-of-the-line graphics cards, power supplies, gaming keyboards, audio cards, cooling systems, accessories, cases, motherboards, you name it, they've got what you need to build a PC. They've stepped up and helped us build a really solid machine for the streaming that we've been doing on YouTube. And if it wasn't for these guys, we'd still be fumbling around trying to figure it out. Please support them. Go to evga.com At checkout, use the code Trailchasers, and you can get up to 10% off anything you purchase. So go to evga.com, use the checkout code Trailchasers to get a discount. Thanks, EVGA.
You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
The Trailchasers podcast is a member of the 4x4 Radio Network. If you want more off-road shenanigans in your ear holes, go to 4x4radionetwork.com to hear episodes of the Jeep Talk Show, the 4x4 podcast, the Center Steer podcast, and On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. All right, that was a very, very cool conversation. I'm super impressed with that. Like, you know, we are trying to figure out how to travel 4 hours east. literally, we got thrown a loop yesterday about the Parker trip, and Matt and Jose got to the house. We threw up the map, and we're looking at some stuff to try to make some changes, like panicking. He's driving across the world. Like,
you know what, though? It's really what's super interesting, or two of the more interesting interviews we've had. Ferenc right there was awesome. You know, what a bunch of stories even the most mundane thing that he's done is
he's
probably
well-traveled.
Yeah, it's like super amazing. Yeah, well-traveled. And then there was also, I feel bad that I'm forgetting his name, but there was that other guy that traveled to South America a lot. And he ended up being a really great interview as well. I think he was like we met him down at the,
oh, yeah. We met him at the Mountain Hatch thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
Life
man,
of an Adventurer.
Yes.
Oh, that's
wow.
right,
Look
yeah.
at you. Good pull.
Oh, yeah.
You must be, are you taking your ginkgo biloba every day?
I need something, dude. My brain is mush right now.
Welcome back to the workforce, bro.
No, dude.
Yeah.
No, this work stuff. I don't know, man.
But my point being is, you know, the common thread is, you know, you just got to get out and travel. There's never like a right way, or you just have to commit and do it. And then everything, you know, seems to turn out okay. And you have these amazing stories and life experiences, you know?
Yeah, I agree. But, sorry.
Rude.
I'm sorry. I yawned. So again, us trying to figure out how to travel 4 hours east. So I get a call yesterday from Joe K, and he's like, "Hey, I just came across this Facebook site. There's a giant poker run put on by some Arizona off-road group.
Best in the Desert.
It's
a big racing organization.
Yeah, it's their main staging area is like 2 miles from where we were going to camp.
Yeah, and then Tim sends me a text message like at 6 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, hey, you guys know you guys need permits for that area?
Clearly, we did not know that we needed permits for that area. So Jose starts looking into permits, and it's like $3,000 in 6 months to get. So when Matt and Jose got
another well planned out trail chaser event.
But I was in email contact. I'm like, well, the trip is in 3 days. Can we just rush that if we needed to?
So we figured it out. We for those of you that are going on the trip, there's going to be now that I think about it, they're going to be listening to this like on the way out to Parker, but there's going to be a new update with new general locations of where our campsite's going to be, and so we're pretty sure that we know where our campsite's going to be, and then we're going to reroute the trails a little bit. We're going to scrap Earp Falls like we had talked about, because I just don't think...
That has nothing to do with what we're camping, where we're
camping.
No.
That was
a logistical thing with the trucks we have on.
Yeah, it's a combination of the full-size trucks and the amount of people we're going to have, and trying to get 20 something vehicles through that Widowmaker is going to be a long day. So
don't worry about it, dude.
We will have Mark. This isn't just about you. Yes, it is. But we're no. So if it Mark, so Mark Duty Driven is in the chat room. If
we saw XJ struggling to get through that thing.
Yeah, it was. So the videos we were watching, if it was a small group and we thought we could figure out a way to fandangle it, then we probably would do it.
Because think about it, dude. If it takes 5 minutes for one truck to get through that spot, times 20,
we will be there for hours. So it just doesn't make sense to try to do that. So we have a couple other routes planned out.
I'll be one of the first ones to go through. I'll park my truck on the other side, and I'll just drink beers watching everybody go through it. It sounds like a great time to me.
But we're gonna go to a pretty cool old mining site, which is the funny thing is the Swansea site that we're going to. I wanted to include that, and the only reason I didn't is because of the direction we were going to go based on where our campsite was. But now that we're shifting our campsite down, it gives us an opportunity to head right out there and do that. So that'll all be covered, and the logistically, I think we're in good shape. Other than there's a handful of swag stuff we're still trying to gather from the vendors. The shirts are going to be done today, and I got to figure out how to get them picked up. Tammy said she'd pick them up for us, so we should have the shirts in the next day or so. And then I think Wednesday night it's going to be bag stuffing, like sitting here at the counter trying to put the swag bags together. So
is that a euphemism?
That's what I thought too.
Who's the bag?
Who's the bag and who's doing the stuffing?
Yeah, I don't know that I like it.
Or maybe you do. I don't know.
Or maybe I do. So the point is that we still have a lot to do. This was the worst time to try to plan a trip 2 weeks after starting a job. The guys are giving me a hard time earlier about being back in the workforce, and I'm working for a living in actual full hours, and I'm tired. I'm very, very tired.
Yeah. That's what happens when you work, dude.
Man. And see what else. Someone made a comment. Who was that Mud Raider? Someone asked if I was going to, or no, it was Nomad Overland asked if I was going to take a side window with me to the trail this weekend. I got my side window fixed this weekend again, so I'm on window number 3 in the Ranger. Called up. I told the story last week where I had called the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and then nothing. The following Thursday, I called again, left a voicemail. I got a response on a Monday or Tuesday. They said they had the glass, so I took it in, dropped it off for the day last Friday. Mm-hmm. And so far it hasn't cracked. So
oh wow, we've
made it from
on
Friday.
On time, that's like a lifetime.
Yeah, we've made it from Friday to Monday, and it hasn't cracked. So that's a good.
Has it started to warp or anything?
No vortices in the truck. No warping. So that's a good thing. The crack that goes from the passenger side A-pillar all the way to where my face is,
that's
on the windshield, totally different crack. That's going to be there for the trip. That's nothing I can do about that. And I was just Jose and I were talking. Remember I smashed the skid plate on my transfer case, and that was causing that vibration.
That bash plate?
The bash plate. I bashed the plate on my transfer case, and I didn't get a chance to order a new. I tried to order a new one at one point. I couldn't find it.
Did you just hammer this one out?
So I was going to hammer that one out, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it with me, and then when we leave the campsite, I'll put it on.
So you should just put it on now.
Well, no, for the drive out. Yeah, for the drive out, I'll keep it off, and then we'll put it on when I'm out there, and that way I don't have to worry about the vibrations. But I have to put that back on. I got a feeling I'm going to lose some. I mean, it'll be bad. I don't want to.
I mean, some people pay extra for the vibrations, but
I'm picking up good vibrations.
Yeah,
she's giving
sit
me
here quietly and wait until you're done.
Good. Yeah, everybody's driving in their cars singing that song. Oh, speaking of songs, come on, you saw my playlist, right? You saw my dude. I don't know what made me do it, but
you should listen to that on your way out. You know, that 4-hour drive or whatever, and get all that out of your system. Because I ain't listening to that garbage.
Dude, that is not garbage. There was nothing.
That's the most garbage. That's the smelliest garbage there was nothing ever created.
There was nothing but
pretty good
positive feedback. Yeah,
garbage was good. Garbage was good.
There was nothing but positive feedback on my Color Me Bad, Belle Biv DeVoe, Guy, Tony playlist.
I knew none of those people. I was like, I don't even know what that is. What are those words?
How old were you in 1989?
4.
Oh my god!
Oh man, he was 4. You and I were in high school, cruising around in our cars, playing.
I was not listening to any of that
Playing
shit
that music.
in high school.
Yeah, Matt was more of a what were you like a
Danzig.
Poison guy?
Oh,
I would rather listen to Tony, and Bill Biv DeVoe than Poison. Oh man,
Rat? No.
no, damn it! No, I was like The Cure.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Like punk rock.
Yeah, you had your
he was all
mascara-
depressed.
Yeah, you had your eyeshadow.
yeah,
like,
he was
deep.
all depressed.
Black fingertips. You know.
Public Image Limited. Right?
Oh yeah, PIL.
PIL.
Oh, dude. Johnny Rotten. PIL. Oh, dude, come on. Yeah, no, I was cool. I was too cool for Belle Biv DeVoe. Though I did go to some of those parties. Those were still some pretty good parties.
How long were your bangs back then, dude?
Oh yeah, like did you do
the flip thing? Yeah. Did you
I probably did, but that's back in the day. I had hair, you know.
Can you imagine Matt at 17 with all that hair? Like meeting Matt today, be like, dude,
just kill yourself. Do it.
Let's be.
You're already halfway there. You listen to The Cure. You listen to Depressed Mode. You must just finish. Look at what you look like in 40 years. Oh my God. It's over.
To this day, I still understand why Mexican parties or Mexicans love Morrissey and Depeche Mode.
Morrissey,
I don't understand.
The more I don't know, but
I
is.
still love Morrissey.
Oh,
Morrissey
God.
and the Smiths.
My
man.
first concert ever. One of my best friends got into a fight with his girlfriend, and he had this ticket to Morrissey at the Hollywood Bowl. And he was like, dude, we're not going to go.
Great
She
show.
can't go. She's like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, cool. Tickets are like $25. Wait a minute. I have to buy the ticket? So I buy the ticket. We go. It was the single lamest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
I
saw Morrissey in Pomona at the
Orange County
Glass
Fair.
House.
at the Glass House. Yeah. I don't remember a
didn't
thing
know. He
about
didn't
that
know nothing
concert.
Oh,
I don't.
yeah. What were you doing?
Red Bull and vodka.
Okay.
A lot of them.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh crap! No, it was just dumb. It was just dumb, and I was not a fan.
Okay, Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh god, Belle Biv DeVoe, BBD. So there's gonna be a massive
Nobody's gonna show up. now.
There's gonna be a 80s hip hop.
They're gonna be
R&B
listening
party.
to this episode on the way out, going, I ain't listening to that shit, and just turn around.
I need to get
keep your shirt.
I need a generator so that I can get the house speakers up and running.
I got my Bluetooth speaker. We're good.
Oh shit! So there is a couple things that have come up. So
just check your emails, guys. If you're driving out right now,
yeah. If you're on your way out, there's a very real chance that there will be a last minute text because Matt and I are still planning on leaving at 10 on Thursday, which should put us out there about 2.
Yeah, I'm leaving after work.
Yeah, you and Adam are
we're carpooling out.
So
not carpooling, just caravanning.
So the plan is in your email, you'll get a map of where we're planning on being in a generalized area, but we should have the orange room set up so you'll be able to find us. Yeah. We'll send text messages out with coordinates.
It's within 20 minutes of the old spot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not far.
The only difference is like where this poker run and race event thing is supposed to happen is like we'll call it on the north side of Parker. We're just going on the south side just to stay away from it. And part of that's going to be because if there's that many people up there, that the trails are going to be pretty packed as well. So we're just trying to move ourselves down a little bit and take a couple different routes.
We could just cancel it. Go to Laughlin. We just cancel it and we hit the poker room.
Go to Coughlin because when we all leave there, we're going to be coughing.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Dude, there was a higher chance of picking up something before COVID there at Laughlin.
Yeah.
COVID's the least of your worries.
Your worries in Laughlin.
I'm telling you, last time we were there, I stayed at the Colorado Bell. It was like, this place, they need to knock this place over. But they gotta put one of those containment tents up over it first, because you don't want contamination for the rest of the town.
Was that for a Mojave trip or a family wedding?
Family wedding. Yeah, that was like 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago.
I know. I couldn't remember when the last time was, if it was the wedding or the.
It's like, why is it? I'm walking down this corridor and it's like squishy and slish slosh. I'm on the 4th floor. This doesn't seem cool at all.
One of the points that Matt brought up was, so where we're camping, we're just going to be like, the plan for the day is, if on Friday and Saturday we're going to leave the tents all set up to where they're at and campsite and drive out to the trail and turn around and come back. So if there's anything critical that you're worried about getting picked up, if just in case someone happens by, make sure you've packed that up and on your way, take it with you on your trip. But I mean, we've been in plenty of places where that's always a possibility, whether it be Akatia Wells or Kessel Run, Razor Road. It's always a possibility when you're camping like that. I don't know that we've ever had a problem.
Yes.
Are you just? I'm shocked that Jose just referenced there was some cool punk bands that were being talked about on the chat room, and look at Jose pulling out Holiday in Cambodia, DK.
Yeah,
nice.
I had a shirt of theirs, but it doesn't fit me anymore.
Was it the one with the guy about to get his head bashed over with a chair?
It's just the classic DK logo. Yeah.
So we had a conversation about my ultra king size air mattress. So I bought a cot on Amazon. It was only like $68 or something like that, $70. And so far, I took it out, I opened it up. It's super comfortable. Presley slept on it one night. It was out here by the Christmas tree, and she wanted to stay out here, so she slept on that. Tammy slept on the couch. But so I've significantly reduced the amount of stuff I need to take. So now I just got the tent and the cot, and but it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be
40s.
Last time I checked, I think it's going to be 30s. So
it said 40 on the phone.
Yeah,
when I looked on the phone.
Okay,
that's still cold. So
37 on Saturday, low of 37 on Saturday.
Yeah, jeez, man. So what are we gonna do? Like, should everybody just bring like a bundle of firewood or something? That we're gonna have so many vehicles. I don't know if logistically having one big fire pit is realistic.
Yeah, we'll probably have a couple fire. But think about, they're also where we're at camping now. We're 20 minutes away from town proper. So
that's true.
So it's not like we can't go in and get more firewood.
There's like a Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah. I don't like you and you made the point. I'm not
there's always just throwing matches at that Ford.
Yeah,
true. See what happens.
But I probably won't do my grocery shopping here. I'll probably do it out there rather than worrying about taking it all out there. And I'll just
I'll probably do the same, because I'm taking all my stuff to work and driving from work. So Thursday night, I'll probably just eat something on the road and then wake up really early
Friday morning, cruise into town. Yeah. That's what I was telling Tammy. I'm like, I'm not really even worried about grocery shopping. I can just drive into town and get a fast food every day, So that's going to be a new for us. I'm looking forward to that. So let's see, we got. I just checked my email. There was a bunch of responses from people. So I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to look and see what's missing. But we've already got stuff from Iron Man Off-Road. We've got stuff from Shower Pouch that showed up. We've got our stickers have shown up. Our personal sticker, the stickers, the Trailchaser stickers.
I know LGE was sending them some stuff.
LGE and Baja Forge is sending some stuff.
Yeah.
Icon, Nexon, all of the White Knuckle, all of the people that you've seen on the flyers and the emails are all sending stuff, and we'll kind of highlight all those different companies in the process. I don't know. I was talking to Letty about this. I'm like, man, what people paid for, they're getting actually a really good deal out of those bags, dude. So, yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, that's actually they're stealing that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a good deal. So, as long as everything comes through, like part of the reason, like the logistically, we're trying to. So here's some background, folks. prior to 2 weeks ago, I had a lot of flexibility in my day-to-day life. So not being at work and going places to pick things up was something I could do. I don't have that flexibility now. All three of us are kind of tied up at work. So we're trying to figure out between the three of us how we can coordinate picking up and doing these things. And Tammy's going to help out this week. So once we get all that stuff and we get the bags all put together, we'll have a good idea.
Are you saying we need an intern?
Man, I need an intern because I just realized something else I haven't done yet that I need to do before Wednesday. It's not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen.
Is Tammy okay with that?
No, it's for the trip. It's for the trip and raffle. So we'll figure that out. That's to be honest, everything has been focused on getting ready for this trip over the last week and making some changes and all that stuff. And I know. I did see an art. That's one thing. So we done talking about the trip. We all think we got a plan here.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So the only other thing I saw this weekend was an article from Motor Biscuit that talks about how the Ford Ranger really is better quality pickup than the rest. Did you guys see this? Did you see this? Do you know this? Yeah.
Look,
is this a joke?
Look, on paper, it's a good deal, dude. Like if you can find a 1 or 2 year old, mainly a 1 year old Ranger. Like, what you can get a 1 year old Ranger for...
That's already had all the glass replaced like a couple of times.
On paper, right? But it's just, they have their QA issues.
The article, it's from Motor Biscuit. Go read it. And it talks about how the number one truck was the F-150 and number two was the Ranger. It said that there's some issues with the TRD that dropped it down the list a little bit.
What were they? The transmission thing? Was it a transmission thing?
Let's see. I'm going to go back and find out what those issues were. The car. It talked about car seats being an issue.
That blue oval being an issue.
No, the Tacoma had issues. So you can read it. Go to Motor Biscuit, and it's the 2020 is the 2020 Ford Ranger really better pickup than the rest, and according to this guy, it is, and I trust him.
Was his name Cody? Did he write that story?
It talked about JD Power consumer data and issues over time over the first year, I think, but whatever, you'll figure it out. Go read it. I just wanted to bring up the point that somebody says it's good.
Motor Biscuit.
I have no idea what Motor Biscuit is.
Tim said, "I can't believe anything from an organization named Motor Biscuit."
Oh, he's bought biscuit stuff before.
Yeah.
Eh? Anything with biscuit in it, Tim's like, yeah,
Tim's on board, dude. Yeah.
Corona biscuit? I'll take two.
Yeah.
I will take one of those. I'll try it.
So the long and short of it is we've got...
Dude, I can't believe it's days away now.
I literally, it's I don't know. I'm not going to be ready. It's not going to be... I'm going to throw some clothes in a bag Thursday morning. You saw this weekend I had this stuff out. I kind of went through everything to make sure I had stuff. I think I've got everything.
I'm sleeping in the truck, so...
Are you really?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to do I bought that cot. I'm going to do the tent and the cot and sleeping bag. I think I'm going to be comfortable. I think this is the first time I'm going to be comfortable in a while.
I mean, I have a tent, but it's not a all season. I think it's a summer tent because it's open at the top. It just
all tents are.
Some are winter rated, right?
I'm sure you can, but I've never had one.
But I
it's
think,
the sleeping bag that makes the difference.
I think I'm gonna sleep in the tent with the inflatable mattress. Hopefully, it doesn't deflate.
Yeah, that's the that was the thing with most of the other air mattresses. But that cot, I'm gonna test this out and see how it goes.
There's a Walmart down the street, so
true point.
I went to Bass Pro Shop this weekend. There's a line around the corner just to get in.
What?
Yeah. So I didn't even go.
Once you're in Arizona, dude, they don't even care. Yeah. You can get a coronavirus shot on the street. They'll just give it to you. I think they have someone at the door coughing into your face.
Wait, is that to fight coronavirus?
No, just they'll give it to you so you can get over it. Just be done with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a herd mentality.
Casey asked Tim if the JK was ready to go, and he says, "Ready to go. I'll explain what was up when I get out there." And Casey says, I don't know why what I'm more excited about, the trails or meeting Tim. Like, I feel like somehow we're gonna meet Tim and like he's gonna be super disappointed in all of us. He's gonna be like, these guys suck, honey. I'm not listening to that show anymore. So that's it, guys. After next week. So the plan is right now the plan is to record while we're on site. Kevin, Ultra 4 Jones, is going to be out there on the Parker trip with us. We were going to interview him at some point anyways. Right. So we're going to try to do an actual interview with him out there, do like campfire stuff, take some talks, then use those.
Do some campfire stuff.
Yes, we're going to do some campfire stuff. You guys can do that. You guys can do that after I go to sleep. and then,
you're not supposed to let them know we're doing the campfire stuff until they get out there.
Cody, what does campfire stuff entail?
I've never done it. I don't know.
He's usually in bed.
Yeah, I'm asleep when you guys are doing campfire stuff. And then we're going to use the content from that to cover the next 2 weeks. So there probably won't be an actual live show on Mondays, because if we can, we'll use the content from the winter expedition to put out an episode on what would essentially be the 17th, and then Christmas Eve the 24th. And then
who knows? We might just say F it and we'll record.
We'll probably have, we might do an actual recording to talk about the show, so we can do the content. But I'm just saying it's going to be like, that's going to be the bulk of the content those 2 weeks, and then we come back with we've got an interview scheduled with someone from Peterson Auto Museum on the 28th.
Wow, that sounds.
It's super cool.
I have never been. I've wanted to go.
Me too. And right about the time I was like, let's make a plan, COVID. Like, it's been here our entire.
It's in LA, dude. Like, it's downtown.
The 28th we have that scheduled, and then I don't know what's going on from there. I'd have to go back and look. But so you will hear about the winter expedition again, like 2 more times. That's just what's happening. That's how it's happening. All right, guys, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'm getting tired. I'm exhausted. I got an early day in front of me tomorrow. Anything else? Anything else we should tell people before we go out there?
See you in Parker.
Maybe.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be... I don't know, dude. There's a Walmart right down the street, like within like a 20-minute drive. I think everything's going to be fine.
Casey's excited. I wonder if Casey will actually make it.
Well, he has a Frontier now.
He has a Frontier now.
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah. Tim, can I tell? Is Tim still in the story? Can I tell your story, Tim? Please tell me yes.
Oh, about what was the issue?
No. So the background. Casey had the Grand Cherokee, Big Tasty, right? He sold it, used part of that money to get the Frontier. Yeah. He sold it to a buddy that knew it needed some work. It needed some engine work and some other stuff to get done, a radiator, and the guy was cool with it. The guy was like, yeah.
It blew up down the road, right?
Yeah, and then the guy drove it away, and it literally had broke down. So Tim texts me maybe a week ago. Remember, up until like 2 days ago, Tim was still going to try to buy a vehicle before this trip. Like, we still don't know what's happening. So he texted me like a week ago and says, how do you think Casey would feel if I showed up in Big Tasty? And the guy was selling it already on Facebook for like $8,000.
Oh,
yeah. Apparently he fixed everything, and Tim was considering buying it.
So he's still losing,
and driving it out.
He's still losing his ass at $8,000.
Yeah. So can you imagine? Can you imagine if Tim rolled up with Big Tasty on the campsite?
Dude, Casey would be like having nightmares. He's
like, No, Tim would be like, Casey, there's making a noise. Come fix this. But that would have been hilarious if we could have pulled that off. So Casey said, yeah, he got the text from Tim as well. So we're going, man. We're going. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know. I feel 100% unprepared
Well, like Matt said, dude, Walmart is 15
There's
minutes
Walmart
away.
and a terrible hearse right down the street to
Yeah.
get gas and food. I can live for 3 days from an Arco. Like I can
at the very minimum for sure. 3 days.
So that would be the worst case scenario. But it's gonna be freaking rad. It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be dumb sauce around the campfire. I'm apologizing in advance for whatever we're gonna put out next week.
Oh yeah, Jose, you better come up with some good conspiracy stories this time.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you guys that video today.
Oh my god, we can talk about that. We can watch that video, and then I can just clown on you, I guess, for about it's at least a good half hour about that video.
Yeah, we'll branch off from there.
Yeah, exactly. That is a good starting point. That covered a lot of stuff in that video.
I have not watched it.
Don't. 6 minutes of my life I'll never get back. As soon as it was over, I was like, how much time was that?
But that's
6 minutes.
That's probably the third time he sent a video like that where you start watching and you're like, what am I supposed to get out of this? Is this the right link? I don't even think this is the right link.
Is this?
I'm just providing the information. It's up to you what you do with
send
it.
me this? What is this?
So if you want to know what link he sent out, you'll have to be in Parker. But Casey says, don't forget your laser, Matt, so you guys can do Star Wars again.
So we can play swords?
Yes, you guys will be playing.
And bring your laser, I guess.
I gotta find my laser. I don't know.
We can still sword fight.
Never mind.
All right, with that, look, I'm tired. With that,
That's it.
We're done. We'll see you in Parker somewhere. I don't know exactly where yet,
In
but
the
we'll
vicinity.
let you know. Just
Just a bunch of people wandering around the desert.
head east on Thursday or Friday, and we'll
just
let you
keep
know.
updating your inbox.
Yeah, check your inbox and your texts. That's it. See you in a couple days.
I'm Presley, and thank you for listening. Thank you to Max and Taye. Thank you to Icon. If you want to be on the show, call 951-394-DOOT. Thank you to Ryan Terena with all of the music.
Thanks to Tim Kilmer for inspiring the poem at the beginning of the show. He sent me a text message tonight and said, "'Twas the night before winter expedition and all through the house." And then I kind of ran with it from there. So thanks, Tim. Appreciate that.